Good morning. I trust you've all brought some water with you from wherever you spent the summer, and if you have not, then we can sort something out in the foyer there. In fact, John's just walked through there, so he could probably help you get a little glass of water. This is a really happy occasion for me. Really happy. I'm happy because I'm looking right now at more faces than we have seen since the beginning of this thing we call a pandemic. And right now, I'm imagining the faces that are being illuminated by screens in places like Mexico, the United States, Canada, France, who knows where else. We actually have more people watching our videos than coming to church. So we can consider ourselves to be a broadcasting church. If I could whisper individually in every one of your ears, defying social distancing, I would say, relax, be comfortable, you're welcome. For the next hour or so, just consider this place to be your home. In Unitarian and Universalist congregations all over the globe, people are celebrating right about now this occasion of the gathering of the waters. We've been away for the summer. In normal times, we would have been on pilgrimages to visit family, to see new sights, to go to the beach. This year, it's been a different meaning. We've been separated by events none of us has the power to control. However, though we've been separate, we now easily flow together again, like our little vials of water will mix effortlessly in a minute in that bowl. So let's do that now. When I light the chalice, just come forward as you're able, pour your water into the vase there. And if you'd like to tell us where it came from, that would be lovely, but it's not required. I'm going to start myself right now by saying that this water came from Croydon Unitarian Church, from the tap, which is where, yes, I have spent most of my summer.
This water came from Hertfordshire, and it's from the flowers that were at my grandson's wedding. I managed to keep a little bit of the water.
This is water drawn from a tap in Canterbury this morning.
Oh. Wow.
From 32 Hillview Close.
Great place to live.
This water comes from the Somerset, because I've been nowhere for 15 months. But at last, after several years, I now have a water meter.
This was from the River Thames at Thames Devon.
This is from a little pond that we've just put in our garden.
This is the much sought after New Addington water.
This came from 32 Hillview Close as well.
Very popular.
This is from Servants' Hall Theatre in Edinburgh, where I was producing a show this summer at the Fringe.
Well done.
In memory of Malta, where we had our thing with Julie.
This water comes from Derbyshire, just returned from our Unitarian Ministers' Conference, so from the Great Hudlow Nightingale Centre, our conference centre there.
This water comes from Whitstable, where I spent a few days over the summer.
Wow, just like old times, except now we get to know those of you who broke lockdown and went somewhere. We have proof, it's on tape. We notice how the water all mixes together in the bowl, just like us mixing together here. It's absolutely democratic. Thames River water has no problem mixing with someone who brought water from, where was it, Derbyshire? And good old Croydon tap water, hey, it worked fine with New Addington water. And where was yours from, Carrion?
Edinburgh.
From Edinburgh, so we have Scottish water as well.
And Bill was from Canterbury.
Canterbury, yes.
Yeah, all over the show.
Well, now let's really come together. Let's really come together and flow together smoothly like those waters and sing this song we really already know. We don't even need the book. It's number 24 in the Purple Book. Come, sing a song with me.
Your
because more than 1,000 congregations in the U.S. and 150 here have been celebrating this day for quite a long time. Quite a lot of words have accumulated. So we had to pick among a lot of wonderful readings today, and one that really moves me that I think might move you is by Tess Baumberger. Our gathering here, our sharing our words, our experiences, our joys, and our sorrows brings blessings to this water. Spirit that flows through all things, add your blessing to this water and teach us its wisdom. Teach us the wisdom of water, that life will have its falls, sometimes like a mountain stream tumbling over round stones, sometimes like threads of rain spun from clouds, sometimes in breathtaking cascades. Teach us the wisdom of water, that each fall is finite. Each ends in contact with earth. May we remember that we in this community are as earth to each other. We cushion each other's falls, lessening the impact, supporting one another through the hard times. We are the ground of the blessed community. Teach us the wisdom of water, that we will rise again from each fall, sometimes like mist breathed from neighborhood trees, sometimes like a geyser shooting from the earth, sometimes as imperceptibly as evaporation from the sea. One spirit of life and loving, may you be with us as we move together through life. Nourish us in the dry times and flow into us the simple abundance of life, loving, patience, and compassion. And I say thank you, Tess Baumberger. You know what I'd like now? I'd like to hear a love song. Yeah, wouldn't you? A love song by Lowell.
Well, this song falls into the category of songs my mother taught me. And the reason for that, thank you, is that when I have a song on my mind, I suppose it happens to lots of people, it doesn't go away. It keeps coming back. And I couldn't stop remembering this little melody that I used to play on the piano. And in desperation, I was a student living away from home, so I phoned my mother. Mum, you remember that song that goes do 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 do? And she said, oh yes, I used to sing that as a teenager. And she remembered all the words. And so there I was in the phone box writing down the words in stuff. And this is the song.
got me loving you badly, the way a fool can do when they're in love, deep in love with you. Now I know that you are the only one who knows why I am such a lonely one, so catch me before I fall too far. Beloved Meher Baba.
Thank you. Thank you for being, I can't call you best boy, can I? Key grip, Fiona. Someone who I don't know, who's named Ranwa Hamami, wrote this. It's about our water. This water is sacred. It is made sacred by the hands that have poured it with intention and love. The many stories that each drop contains, the many lives surrounding it in this unique moment, connected by commitment and faith. This water is sacred. May it continue to flow through this community with shining reflections of the unique gifts that flow through each one of its members. For this water is sacred. So may it continue to nurture this community with sustaining hope that we journey together through ripples of growth and change. May it continue to bless this community with loving reminders of our collective responsibilities to one another and to the world. May its ripples be a reminder that the changes and growth within this community bring movement and transformation to the world beyond our doors. May its purity offer grace to our community and the willingness to forgive ourselves and one another when we make mistakes. In moments when we are confused or uncertain, may it bring us clarity of purpose and commitment. And in moments when the reservoirs of our hearts and spirits are drained by sorrow or pain, may it nourish them with the knowledge that we are surrounded, always surrounded, by a deep and abundant love. So this water is sacred. With that thought in mind, let's take a few minutes now for ourselves. Deep breaths, relax, feel comfortable. Really let yourself feel at home now. As we join the silence that is not silent at all. As we listen to the murmurings and messages that spring from our hearts, now following the fading tone of our bell into our own center of stillness. one Spirit known as Holy. We have listened. May it be that we have heard. So be it. Inshallah. Shalom. Amen. You know, there's some pretty dread scientific predictions out there now. Many believe, maybe most believe, that climate change will make a huge amount of the world's farmland unusable, either through drought or loss of land caused by rising sea levels. There's a looming food crisis, but there's always been a crisis of food in one country or another. So it's something that we've all but learned to ignore as we eat our air-freighted kiwi fruits and our strawberries at Christmas time. Some voices are warning that we will need a second planet the size of Earth to feed everybody by the end of this century. And believe it or not, a few visionaries are, yes, and I'm not kidding here, are investigating the possibility of finding a planet somewhere and towing it into orbit near the Earth. I would say that I'm concerned. Are you concerned? I feel concerned. But so far, I don't feel panicked by the predictions. Scientists are indeed to be trusted. The pandemic has shown us that, if nothing else. That part does express my concern. But there's also a perhaps unfashionable voice somewhere in my head that whispers to me that even our efforts to save the world reveal the monster of egotism that we have, that the earth is a lot older and perhaps wiser than we are. Our efforts to save the planet seem to spring from that same over-exaggerated self-esteem that has led us so far to abuse it. And no, I don't mean that all the measures which we know we must take should be abandoned. I mean that we should be able to put them into context in our own history, because there we are again, center stage, mighty man. One of the few times I think it's fair to say mighty man instead of mighty man and woman. Pulling the levers of cosmic power, designing bombs on rockets to blow up any asteroid that threatens to interrupt our world. We spout self-important verbiage about science and its great power. Meanwhile, we let the millions starve and lead stunted lives because of the hegemony of our scheming brains and their dazzling digital achievements. So that when the banks are revealed as so many hucksters peddling snake oil on the high streets, we pay money we do not possess to bail them out. Well, the people with no jobs meekly acquiesce and pray and beg for an extra 20 pounds a week in their benefit check. The beautiful symmetry of our systems outweighs the evidence of our eyes. Things are not working very well. We ignore that. And our theories of the cart dragging the weary horse behind. Just as in most things that are unbalanced in the world, and balance is a major thing we're after these days, what is called for is not merely new laws. What we need is a change of heart. Part of that change of heart is a new awareness that we live in a much less stable world than we knew. If you measure the breathable atmosphere we move and live in, A way to understand its size and proportion is to wrap a sheet of cling film around a football. The thickness of that cling film is our entire breathable atmosphere, our world, you can say. It seems every day that new discoveries are made about cosmic rays, the Earth's magnetic field, and even the cause of weather coming, yes, even coming from outer space. We are living in a very fragile world indeed. But are we terrified? Not really. What it should do is remind us that the fleeting nature of our lives and history are just part of what gives impetus to the spiritual impulse within us. It should remind us that though science may and does inform us, it is unlikely unheeded to save us. It should say to us, enjoy and appreciate what you see before you now, because it's a fleeting miracle, and we are, for whatever reason, its fortunate beneficiaries. And for those of us who are not so far fortunate, it should remind us that we are not alone on this little blue ball in space. The wizened faces of Ethiopian and Yemeni children, you've seen them. See them every day. Just tune into CNN and you'll see them. They're the faces of our children. One of the first moral lessons I ever learned was that it is damn rude to eat in front of other people. When I was a kid, you can't eat if your friends have nothing. That's a good way to recognize and celebrate the miracle, that fleeting miracle we have now of plenty. And water? Well, water rarely troubles us with surplus or lack. We need to know that in that we are blessed. I speak of us here, because in other parts of the world now that is not the case. A thing that helps me remember that, though I don't often do it enough, is something a kid once asked me in Botswana, bone-dry Botswana, after our vegetable garden dried up and died. He said, Art, why does it always rain where the white people live? I've never been able to work that out myself. But maybe I will do something else instead. Maybe I'll ask you to sing with me. Number 238 in the Green Book, and we know it as Source of All. Gosh, we haven't heard that hymn in, everything's in years now. It's been almost 2 years. It's been 2 years since we had this service, actually. Time just racing past. The tangible metaphor, which is what that vase represents, that of the mingling of waters from so many separate places, is now a much loved feature of Unitarian worship all over the world. And I look forward to it each year without being sure why exactly. But this year I had an insight. Maybe it's because we've been starved for company over the last year and a half. I like the day because it's one that we can all enjoy. Not just enjoy as if we were watching a film, but appreciate on some level that has nothing at all to do with theology, religion, faith, or any of those words that have more of a tendency to divide us than to unite. We don't need to hear words about how water always seeks it. We don't need to know how in the miracles it got transformed into wine or parted in the Red Sea. How much of the miraculous can be found in the ordinary? We can see it. We can feel it, experience it directly. This room this morning is much bigger than we know. This room is thousands of miles across because now my words are being heard by someone I know hunched over an iPad in Guadalajara. I know that there are people in Paris watching. I know that my son, well, he wouldn't get up at 3 a.m. to listen to me, but he might play it later. But on average, we have about 25 or 30 people. So we have a kind of a different community than we had before. And I look around here and I see that there is a community in front of me. And I'm careful with the use of that word because it's overused. You know, they got phrases like, those people in the criminal community and so on, right? Community is an overused word. It pops up like the refrain and mantra in liberal religious literature. Community is everything. No, it's not, but it's something. What I mean by using the word is to say that there are links. Some are invisible, some are obvious between all of us here. Some of you will know one person here who in turn might know others, who knew someone that used to be here, having come as a guest. If I were a psychic, or even maybe if I was a techie, I could no doubt look out and see the web that connects us all. But never mind, I can sense it all the same. Sometimes in normal days, I've been criticized around here, well, several times, for not paying much attention to official membership of the church, because it is important. And we have really discovered how important that is during this pandemic. You need people who are officially members and sign on and participate and vote and so on. So I know that's important in a legal and economic sense, but to me, it still just adds a layer of complication to something that's basically very simple. It's loose, not joined, recorded, or legislated in any way, but it is nonetheless a kind of community. It's a group for whom the existence of this place, this witness that's over 150 years old, has meaning, and who feel connected to it, however remotely. That is a community that I have time for. It's also the reason I'm sure that this church still exists despite it all, and lies at the very heart of what we must call its mission. Well, there's no better way to celebrate community than by sharing some food. You agree? Maybe a little wine. So in a few minutes, we're going to throw caution to the winds and we're going to devour meat or meat substitutes. Whatever it is that vegetarians and vegans make do with. Plus cakes and sweeties and maybe a glass or two of wine is no less important than anything else we've done here this morning. And I hope you can join in. If you want to think of it as a kind of Unitarian communion, that's okay with me. You wouldn't be far wrong. Daniel has joined us today. Daniel, who has recently been granted, I love that phrase, granted permission to remain. So you look at a man who's just as legally able to be here as you are. And I've asked Daniel if he'll play and maybe sing for us. Yeah. And I see some of you haven't seen much lately, and I'm really glad you're back. So in a few minutes, we're going to take the water and do what we've always done with it. We're going to pour it on some plants out back. And anybody who wants to come along and do that with me is very welcome to do it. This is one of the days in which the offerings we give, and no, we're not passing around the little socks, go to a charity. And today's offering goes to WaterAid, which we've been supporting for some years now. And speaking as somebody who's seen the work of WaterAid in several African countries, I can tell you that it's top of my list in terms of charities. Because one of the few things that you cannot do without is a glass of water that won't make you sick. So in the little hexagonal wooden box today, as you leave, the money you put in there will go to WaterAid. I was told that people really like this song, number 191 in the Purple Book. I know we know the tune. We have a dream based on Martin Luther King's speech. And something more that vase can teach us. The earth that we call home does not reject its waters as it flows back into it. And as we leave now to join each other, hay and conversation and feasting, let's pour it back into the earth from which it sprang. Let it carry away those things we would be better off without. And the spirit of new beginnings, let us make a new resolve, a brand new resolve, because in a way this is the beginning of a year, to look after one another, to really look after one another until we meet again. Thank you all. God bless you. Amen.